Call the meeting in order. Please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Everybody here is watching.
Mike, hold on. Nobody's.
It's blinking.
That may be a good thing. You can see that. That's all right. We're good to go.
As soon as it's not blinking, then you're good. Now you're good.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Do a call to Pledge of Allegiance. And now, as of last week, the county commissioners voted to allow individual county commissioners to do a prayer if they choose, or they continue with the silent prayer. So this is the first meeting that will be started on, and Commissioner Culberson, you are the one up.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take a moment of silent prayer, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Roll call. Commissioner Culberson.
Here.
Commissioner Stephen.
Here.
Commissioner Smith here. Commissioner Dove.
Here.
Commissioner Reed.
Here.
All present and accounted for. Public comment. Got a few on here, but what I've noticed is these things, I've talked to a few of you, these items will be at the end since they're not on the agenda items, so we'll save 5 minutes each for each of you when you come up at the end of the meeting. Want to put out something on administrative business just so everyone knows, transparency. Leavenworth County about 6 months ago started looking at some land that maybe we could help develop and help our tax base, because everyone knows what property tax is. We identified a piece of land over on K5, which is state property, and we've talked about that for a while. So the first of the year I met with Senator Jeff Klemp to ask him about it, and Jeff Klemp has been very positive and went to Topeka and talked about it, and it looks like it's possible that we could have that land transferred to us. Now, there's a lot of rumors out there that are saying it's going to be this and it's been that. Social media kills me sometimes. There's nothing locked in at this time for it. There's a lot of discussions going on, and we don't even have the land, nor are we sure we're going to get it. But I know the rumors are out there, so I want to do it. After we did this, we've met with, since it's in Lansing, we met with some City of Lansing officials, Dan and Gene Kirby and Tim Vandal, the city administrator, and talked about the land because the rezoning and things would be in their area. Everyone seemed very positive about it, but right now it's still in such an early stages. So I'll give you updates, or a county commissioner will give updates as the time comes. But right now, whatever you hear, this is as much as we know right now. Okay, Mark, do you have anything? Commissioner Culberson?
I just wanted to address something that I got several emails on that said Leavenworth County has a $73 million reserve.
Yeah, I saw that.
Have you heard that yet, Mark?
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
So where they got that from was the Kansas Policy Institute. So what I wish people would do before they take any advice or information from anybody is check their credentials. If you knew who KPI was, you probably wouldn't listen to them anymore. But what they did is they took a formula. Their goal is to destroy city and county government. That's what they're all about. And they come up with these formulas that they apply. Kansas Policy Institute hasn't looked at Leavenworth County's budget. They couldn't tell you what our budget probably was, other than they apply this formula that they come up with saying there's so much local government waste. We calculate with all of our surveys and calculations that if a budget is this much, they have 110% reserve. So all they did is apply this formula to Leavenworth County's budget. If we have a $60 million budget, then they say we have a 110%, or whatever $73 million comes out to, reserve. They don't have a clue what we really have. And I guarantee you, we don't have any reserve to speak of.
There's no rainy day fund.
Yeah. So I just wanted to let people know, if you're listening to KPI, it's probably not such a good idea.
Okay. Anything else?
Commissioners, one of the things they can say that what they do is they ask for what our cash balance is on January 1. But what they don't understand is how taxes work in the state of Kansas, apparently. Because the county collects taxes for all taxing entities, and our largest distribution happens mid-January. So we have all the taxes on January 1. We have most of the property taxes collected for all the school districts, all the cities, all the townships, all the libraries, sitting in our account that then is distributed in mid-January. That's how it works. That's the process. That's how it works. The Treasurer's Office is responsible for handling that. But because they either don't understand or they don't want people to know that they do understand, and it doesn't make good news for them, I guess. But that's what they do. They look at what the cash balance is on January 1 and say, oh, look how much money we have. It's not our money. It has to be distributed. That's the way it works.
Okay, question. Hey, yes, sir.
For you, Mark, did the Kansas Policy Institute ever reach out to your office or to anyone at the county that you know of?
I believe they sent some kind of a request, and I think of it from last year, about what our cash balance was on January 1. But no, I'm not aware of anything that they asked us what our reserves are, and they certainly are not $73 million.
So we do have a percentage of our budget that is sort of a reserve, but that's under $1 million.
Yes, we have equipment reserves. You know, we set aside depreciation on our equipment. We have in our capital improvement that we're going to talk about later today, actually, we set aside sales tax dollars over several years to pay for projects when they come due. They're not reserves, so to speak. They are offsets for our expenditures, the depreciation. But it's a cash reserve. It's not $73 million.
So within a percentage or two, the Leavenworth County budget over the last number of years has tracked pretty close to the rate of inflation.
That's correct. Our expenditures have tracked close to the rate of inflation as far as operating expenditures go.
In fact, they can go further. If we had all the reserves, we wouldn't have had to go and get the roof fixed and had to pay for it that way. We've tried not to carry too many reserves so that we can give relief to the property tax that we charge people, or that is charged by the state. So yeah, that's a good point, Mike.
Yeah, and like Mark said, it's less than $1 million.
Yeah,
it's nowhere near $73 million.
No, it's probably half.
I wish.
So, another point, we've been working for 5 years on urging our legislators to reduce property taxes for the people of Kansas. And this session, they failed to enact any kind of substantial property tax reform. The only reform they have passed is eliminating the 1.5 state mill levy, which goes to pay for educational buildings across the state, including the School of the Blind. So they've removed that. They're going to pay for that, I guess, out of the general fund. But I went across the hall and talked to Mr. Weber late last week, and I asked him, well, how much is that going to benefit each taxpayer for Leavenworth County? And he did a figure for a $350,000 home, it's about $60. For a $150,000 home, it's approximately $25. So your legislature has gone to work for you and given you property tax reduction. So when they send their postcards out next summer, they can tell you that they cut property taxes. But we've been asking them to put a cap on property taxes that would be substantial property tax relief that they have in 26 states, including this one is modeled after the state of Florida. Be a 3% valuation cap, so your taxes based on increased valuation would be capped. You would see tremendous changes in your property tax bill if that was adopted. And also we also supported their rolling average that they got through. We told them if you can't pass the cap, then pass the rolling average. We're for that. They didn't pass either. They failed on both fronts. And once again, the Kansas property tax payer is going to be holding the bag. And these spiking property taxes are going to continue to go up, and we're going to be a high tax capital.
Okay. Anything else, Mike?
That's about enough.
That's about enough. Jeff, did you have anything else? Okay, I don't have anything. Mr. You have anything?
Is now a good time to talk about the city commission?
About what? I'm sorry.
The city commission. I went to the meeting last night. Should I talk about that at the end?
I would do that at the end.
That's
if I were you, yeah. I mean, you can do it anytime you want to, but we usually do it at the end. Okay, with that being said, Mark said it and everything, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it. Motion is second. Any discussion? Mr. Culberson?
Aye.
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 All right. Formal board action. Get my paper pen. Consider a motion to approve the financing agreement with Kansas State Bank for one service bed mechanic truck for 3-year repayments of $43,588.43 with a 4th-year purchase balloon payment option. Welcome, Bill.
Today, for your consideration, is that approval of the financing agreement. This is the same vendor that you previously heard over the Mack dump trucks. We did solicit for bids for these for this piece of equipment. We received 3 bids at the time. The Board of County Commissioners accepted that low bid. Like I previously stated, generally the financing for those is through the dealership and not through a third-party vendor, which in this case they've elected to use Kansas State Bank instead of doing it through, say, Next Train Financial, which would be the case for Enterprise or John Deere or Caterpillar. We would go straight to their financial institution for our lease. And so today for your consideration is the approval of that agreement. It is a third-party agreement that we are normally we would have already accepted, but this bank is requiring a bunch of additional documentation.
And this is a budgeted item.
Yes.
Okay. Questions for Bill? No. Okay. Vanessa, anything? Okay.
Move that we approve the financing agreement with Kansas State Bank for one service bed mechanic truck for 3-yearly payments of $43,588.43 with a 4th-year purchase balloon payment option.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Let's start from Commissioner Culberson.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. D is consider a motion to authorize the chairperson to sign a grant application for solid waste for asphalt paving in the recycling area of the transfer station. Good morning.
Morning. So KUG has grant funding available from now until May 15th. The first one that's on there is actually a priority 2 for us, but it's to asphalt the recycling area. Water's created ruts in our recycling area, and when it snows and stuff, it's really hard for us to clear that with equipment or shovels. So that would just enhance that area because we do get a lot of recyclers through there.
Okay, Mark, do you have anything to add to this?
Commissioners, this is a 75-25 grant. Tammy has money in her reserves for these kinds of projects, and so the 25% will come out of her reserves. And again, the transfer station is an enterprise fund, so it's fully funded on fees collected out of the gate.
Exactly.
And just signing it is just giving me permission to send it in. Doesn't mean it's going to be approved by them, and if it is, you still don't have to.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. Any other questions for? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to authorize the chairperson to sign a grant application for solid waste for asphalt paving in the recycling area of the transfer station.
A motion on a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? Commissioner Culberson?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, thank you. Sticking along those lines, considering motion to authorize the chairperson to sign a grant application to enclose the C building at the transfer station.
Yeah, so the C building is where a lot of our recycling is housed. Our baled cardboard, our baled aluminum cans, the bicycles through the prison program. If there's two sides are completely open, we have a half wall, but when it rains, that cardboard gets wet, and then it has
Well, don't you
to go.
store the bicycles we save to give out to people in the county or to that the prison does? Do you store those too?
They do restore those, yes. We pull them out off the tipping floor ones that
Okay.
can be rehabbed,
Okay.
and then we take them over there, and then
They restore, yeah.
they restore them there.
Good. Okay. Is there anything else, Tammy?
Well, and in closing that building, we've had 2 thefts, and it was from that building, a welder, things like that. So having that secure would help
Okay.
with that as well.
Okay. Any
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
On the theft, do you have cameras?
We do.
So were you able to identify anybody in the theft or no?
Not the first one, because they jumped the fence.
Let's
and
not
then
keep
they
it all
took our
away.
equipment and broke through the gate. But ours doesn't get tag numbers that well. So that one, we did not recover. Well, they left our skid steer down there, so that was a plus. But that one we didn't recover. The second one we did, because they stole our car. And it was reported in Kansas City, and so it got pulled over, and all the stuff that they'd stolen was in the car. So all that got returned to
Does
us.
it tend to be like teenagers or is it adult? This was adults. Yeah.
Yeah, make good money. Did we replace years ago when I was a cop, you get a robbery or something like that, and you go look at the film, and you couldn't make out who it was or what it was or whatever. Do we have the cameras up to date now that can be helpful to law enforcement? I know I obviously that one was, but how about the one that you couldn't tell? Has that been replaced? The cameras are a great tool for law enforcement you ought to use.
Right. Well, and because they were in our county car, and he was drunk and swerving, so somebody on the highway turned him in, and
that's how
yeah,
it
he was
came.
apprehended.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Quit thinking.
Is there a motion to authorize the chairperson to sign a grant application to enclose the C building at the transfer station?
Second. Motion second. Any discussion? Mr. Culberson?
Aye.
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 Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. Next one, you're still here, I think. Presentation, discussion, solid waste quarterly report.
Me again.
I noticed you didn't move. Go ahead, Tammy.
So for this quarterly report, we had cold winter, so the first quarter tonnage is down a bit from last year, but we had our first customer high count of 252 in March, so our next quarter is probably going to exceed last year's. Tire tonnage was up by a ton, special waste was up by 9 tons, cleanup was down by 39 residents and 2 tons, but again, it was weather related.
Yeah.
All permits are up to date. Household hazardous waste appointments stayed the same at 234. And Commissioner Stephen, you asked me at my last report if KDHE ever just pops in, and I said, no, they don't. Well, guess what? They did.
Surprise. Good timing, Mike.
Lindsay is taking over for Jeff for my permits, so she just called and said, hey, can I just stop in? I'm like, sure. But the upside is she said it's the cleanest transfer station she's ever seen. So.
It's run well. Yes.
You can eat off the floor.
Wouldn't advise it.
It's clean. Any other questions for him? I'm just speaking for myself. I think y'all are doing a great job out there, and the things we've added to help run it, and it's really working well, and especially the report itself that you just gave on how they came and inspected. Just sort of says it all right there. So I tell your staff, I really appreciate what they're doing. Is there any other comments from any commissioners? No comment.
Appreciate that, and the good thing is half of them don't know who you are. So
Who don't know who I am?
Nice.
Well, that's unbelievable. 'Cause
You know.
the phone calls I get, there's a lot of people who do know who I am. Okay. Anything else?
Do you want to remind them of the as far as they can
Free
come?
trash day?
Yes. I don't want you to start, but
You
let me say it. I'll wait till I got done. Would you like to let everybody know that they can dump at the county transfer station for free any day they want? They just have to show their ID.
One time, one calendar year.
Once a year.
Yeah.
We used to do it like in a 2-week period, but then that made their job crazy busy.
Yeah,
so
everybody. Yeah.
Is that one per
we changed
address?
it.
One person per address?
Yes.
So,
One address. That's how we look it up. You give us your ID and we look up the address. Wendy from the appraiser's office is really good about giving us the list every year, and so it makes it easier to track.
any day they want.
That's good.
Good job, Mike.
Anything? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Okay, we got discussion starting now. Jeff, you have anything?
No.
I'm going to tell us about your vacation. Mike?
I'm just going to not say anything today.
Let me get by you real quick before you say anything else. I don't have anything else.
Go.
Commissioner?
No, I don't have anything to say.
You got to throw everybody off, Mike. Commissioner, this is where you were. About that.
I did attend the city commission meeting last night, and one of the things up for discussion was the trash situation in Leavenworth City. And so they would love for Leavenworth County to build a new transfer station.
Oh, sure.
I just
How would that help?
well, they're saying that Leavenworth County transfer station is double the price that they get in Shawnee. And
Takes a lot of gas to drive to Shawnee.
yeah, it takes a lot of gas to drive. And obviously,
But how would building another one help?
well, I guess their concern is that the one in Shawnee that they use is rumored to be closing in 2033, I think they said. And so I think the concern is if they don't continue to handle the trash service as a city, that'll kind of get out of their control if where they are using becomes unusable. That's kind of what the discussion was. So
Were they willing to give a payment in lieu?
and they also talked about how we're getting ready to meet together.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to kind of brief
Heads
you guys
up on
on the discussion.
And this we had this conversation last year about some things. We can go into it later, but I understand what they want. Anything else on that one? Anything else, Melissa? Okay, I think that's a topic we can sure touch on down the line, and I'm sure there's opinions on that. Okay, with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, wait a second. I need to get. I'm sorry. I got one thing else. I'm thinking about that trash thing in the conversation we got. I got a few people put a comment. I will stop. You have 5 minutes. John Redden. John, I see you back there. Coming up. Please give your address and 5 minutes you have, and welcome, sir.
Good morning, Honorable Leavenworth Commissioners. Just for background, this is just south of Lansing, or in Lansing, and this is McIntyre Road down here, and this is Markson Road down here, and there's 3 projects being discussed for implementation, and this one up here is called the Epic Estates Project, this one is called the Yellow Ridge Project, and this one right here is called the Riverbend Heights Project. And it's this one right now that I would want to talk about because it involves a RHID, Residential Housing Investment District. But the developer provided a spreadsheet. The developer provided a spreadsheet whereby it identifies the tax revenue that will be captured and over the life of the RHID, which is 20 years, and for each year how much tax revenue would go back to the developer. And so what we did, we received a copy of it and went through it. We updated it with the current mill levy because they had the previous year's mill levy. And then we added a few columns to identify the tax revenue that will be lost by Leavenworth County and also the school board and also the city of Lansing for each of those, for each year in the life of the RHID. And I'll just, the total RHID after you update it for the current mill levy was $23.16 million. And the lost tax revenue for Leavenworth County is 7.435 million. And so that's how much tax revenue Leavenworth County would be foregoing for the life of the RHID. Now, the school board, they forego, I think it's 7.1 million, and the city itself of Lansing loses out on 8.3 million, and it all adds up. All those numbers add up to that 23.16. So I just bring this to your attention. I think the city of Lansing realizes they're going to not receive this tax revenue, but they hope that the additional growth will spur sales, people purchasing in their stores, sales tax, and then eventually, when the RHID is over, then they'll get their full tax revenue benefit. So I just bring this to your attention. I just want you to realize how much Leavenworth County is going to be losing out on from people living in this development for 20 years. And so I have to be honest with you. I hope that you will pass a resolution to reject this RHID because there's no benefit to Leavenworth County. It's going to involve more congestion, more maintenance on McIntyre Road that you maintain. The city of Lansing itself is going to be losing out on 8.3 million, and it's going to put all these kids going to put pressure on the schools. And when you look at all these three projects together, there's about between 2,000 and 2,500 housing units, approximately one child per unit, and so there's 2,500 kids from these housing units going into the Lansing schools. That could overstress. That will indeed overstress the schools because the schools can only accommodate approximately 600.
Right. Okay.
So you'll have to probably down the road build more schools. The RHID is not going to prevent tax revenue going to pay for those schools, and so the residents will have to pay for those schools with their higher
Thank you, John.
taxes. And so I hope you'll pass a resolution to reject this RHID, and if you do it today, that'd be fine with me.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. One thing I need to just add, too, is in our work session today, the RHID is a new thing. There's a lot of things, tax and finance and, TIFs and all kind of things you can do. We don't even have a policy on it yet, and that's one of the things the work session is going to be discussing, how we're going to address it. Just for anybody that didn't know, we don't even know. Today's thing will not be saying we're going to okay this or not okay this. What we're saying is we don't even have a policy, and we need to go forward, and Mark will be leading the charge on that. But I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Go ahead,
Mr.
Mike.
Lawfrey. Are the terms of all of these proposed developments 20 years?
Well, Commissioners, we don't have any proposals to review at this time.
Maybe John
so,
will know.
So once we get those approved once the city approves them, then they will come to us for review. But right now, we don't have anything for review.
I understand that,
So
but the
they
proposal.
They can go up to 25 years, I believe.
But is the proposal 20 years or on all of them?
This is the only RHID.
Okay.
These do not involve the developers on these two projects have not approached the city asking for.
So the only RHID coming forward at the moment is 20 years
Yes,
term.
it's for
Okay.
this
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
417 houses, small houses, by the way, in a very rural area. The houses, lots are 50 feet wide by 120 feet deep. And that's another issue that upsets the community because it's so totally out of character with what's out there now.
Yeah. John, I appreciate it. A lot of the stuff we're going to be discussing when we get into it. I appreciate your comments, but I need to move right along. I'm very clear on what you're saying, sir, and I thank you for taking the time to come here. Joe Oakes. Anytime, sir. It's good to see you again. Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Thank you, Chairman Smith, Commissioners, for having us today. My name is Joe Oakes from the Polsonelli Law Firm. Here on behalf of Ad Astra Development. Ad Astra is the proposed developer of the residential project just discussed in public comment. Understand that you all are considering a policy or discussing a draft policy in work session today. Heard you loud and clear, Chairperson Smith. There's no vote taken today. You're just discussing a draft policy. You're not even adopting it today. Just wanted to offer our input, give a little bit of background on the project, the need, and kind of address a few misconceptions we've either heard in public comment or out there on social media as well.
So what's your law firm? Are you out of Leavenworth County, or where are you out of?
Say that one more time, sir.
What's your law firm and what?
Polsonelli. It's in Kansas City, Missouri, on the west side of the plaza.
Okay.
Yep. So understand you all are talking about a draft policy. I have 5 minutes today and probably can't get through every single comment here quickly. I offered some kind of written comments just as a guide and feedback that I gave to your city administrator. We'll also attend just to sit through the work session today. I understand there's no public comment during it. First and foremost, I want to spend 2 seconds really quickly on need, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, and I know you see it, and I know that different communities across your county have very different needs. Across the country, we're seeing a national housing shortage. It's being felt in all 4 corners of the state. Lansing is a really prime example of that right now. 80% of their workforce, according to the housing study, lives outside of the community. Residential growth has been minuscule. It's causing them to fall further behind their peers in Basehor and other parts of the county and broader Kansas City metro. Developers team met with City a little over a year back to talk about addressing this housing shortage. First, searching high and low throughout the city for suitable land before eventually landing on the property we have under contract today that was conditionally annexed into the city in November. That, from a development perspective, that property's got a lot of things going for it. It's in a priority growth area of the city. It's in close proximity to the McIntyre Sewer Interceptor project, and it's near the K7 corridor where KDOT's planned some improvements. Of course, it's also not without its challenges, namely the lack of infrastructure. In this case, that is a very substantial cost. It comes to the tune of $27 million. And what it means is that without incentives, this project is not feasible and would not move forward. It helps explain some of the history behind the lack of housing growth in Lansing. I know this is our project, but it's kind of indicative of the conditions generally. And specifically what I mean by that is the infrastructure cost per lot compared to the sale price per lot. They're either break even, or when you factor in the time value of money and the fact that the infrastructure's got to come in first and homes are coming in phased over 10 years, you're negative. You're at a negative return without incentives, and the only way you're breaking even is if you can find a way to offset some of the massive infrastructure lift. So we are requesting a 20-year RHID. We've got 2 goals with that request. Number 1 is offset the massive infrastructure lift to deliver the housing supply that we think Lansing needs. And number 2 is to help keep lot prices down at prices that new and prospective residents can afford. I thought the memo today that's kind of leads your work session does a really good job of speaking to the history of RHIDs and kind of the theory. Just a minute on mechanics. How many of you all have heard of a TIF? I suspect all of you know how they work. I don't mean to get elementary here, but RHIDs allow for the capture of incremental tax revenues. The difference between taxes generated today and taxes after a housing development or other project is developed. So I say that all to clarify. Taxing jurisdictions never receive less than they do with an RHID or with a TIF. It's inherent in the statute. I give that background to just clarify a couple misconceptions that I've heard. Number one is City of Lansing is not incurring any debt with respect to this request. This is a pay-as-you-go incentive. This developer is funding 100% of the infrastructure costs up front via private debt and equity. They're only reimbursed over time if and when that project's developed and if and when sufficient revenues are generated to pay them back over 20 years. Paying costs up front, reimbursed over a term of 20 years, trickling in as property taxes roll in. Number two, how am I on time, Chairperson? Just need to see if
You're out.
I'm out. Can I spare you two more minutes?
One
more minute. I'll take it. Number two is just the RHID program. It doesn't divert any existing tax revenue and I kind of alluded to that before. It's not possible for a taxing jurisdiction to lose revenue because they're keeping their base. Number three is probably the most important one, and I'll be very quick on this, which is City of Lansing is kind of taking matters into its own hands. Unlike TIF, RHID, the statutes, it's been criticized a lot because it doesn't allow for percentage capture. It doesn't let you do, X percent is reimbursed to the developer, X goes to taxing jurisdictions. Lansing's taken matters in their own hands. They're going to consider a home rule ordinance on the 17th that's going to allow for that. We're proposing an 80%, 20% split, meaning there would be a steady revenue stream for the county, for the city, and all the other taxing jurisdictions throughout the term. No, I'm out of time. Happy to answer any questions. Got some written comment too.
Okay, I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming down.
Yep.
Thank you, Joe. I have, is Paul here?
Yes, sir.
I shook your hand, didn't even see you in the back again. Come on down, Paul. Good morning. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'm here to talk about the Reinvestment Housing Incentive District. It's not a new thing. It's just been revised to include city populations under 60,000. The Lansing Housing Study was only up for 30 days, and only 157 people responded to it. We have a survey going now, and there's over 400 people that are against the RHID. My wife has emailed you this spreadsheet that the last gentleman was talking about. I implore you to study that Excel spreadsheet. There's some data in there that is wrong. There's mistakes in there. In the feasibility study, they used the Lansing mill levy from 2023. Also, when calculating the property tax for the Engelhart property, they used the county mill levy. However, that property was annexed into the city of Lansing in November 2024. Also, the property class per Kansas Constitution, Article 11, Section 1, was calculated wrong in their feasibility study. They have the property taxes at $2,233 for the Engelhart properties, and they should be $4,456 according to Article 11, Section 1. They have the property taxes being captured per year for the proposed 417 new homes being $3,831 per home. The property tax captured should be $4,059 per household for the proposed 417 new homes. They also talk about the 21.5 mills that will go to the state from this project. This is statutorial per KSA 72-5142 and KSA 76-6 Bravo. The 1.5 mills of that money is for the general fund now, since they changed it. It used to go for the building fund. And the remaining 20 mills goes to the State Board of Education and is dispersed per student across the state of Kansas.
The current county mill levy is at 37.561. Over the course of this RHID, the county will lose approximately $7.5 million of tax revenue that should go to the county. This RHID is scheduled to be paid in full in 2042. That is a long time and a lot of revenue lost. Therefore, I encourage you to put forth a resolution denying the RHID. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming down. Okay, I think it's all the people we had signed up for that. If that is the case, then take a motion to adjourn for right now.
Take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Culberson?
Aye.
Aye.